The program right now is our friend Alex Wilkes, Senior VP of AmericaRisingCorp.com. How you doing?
I'm great. Thanks so much for having me on, Andrew.
You know what's amazing is the Democrats like to say things like, well, the border wall's bad because it would require the government seizure of land. Oh, you don't like seizing property now? Because that's all they're talking about is how much and how fast they could seize the majority of private property in America. That's the Green New Deal. And I haven't seen one Democratic candidate say they don't support it.
Well, you know, this whole thing is pretty crazy because not only do you have this Green New Deal being put out there with a whole host of unrealistic goals and promises that would bankrupt the middle class in this country, you also have a really weird scandal about whether or not fake documents were uploaded. I think in an attempt by Representative Ocasio-Cortez to sort of backtrack on some of the more outlandish promises that were offered out there. She's now claiming that someone hacked her website or something. So this has all gotten very strange. And truthfully, I hope that Senator McConnell actually calls the Democrats' bluff on this, calls for a vote, and puts some key senators on the record about where they're going to stand on this.
Well, here's what we find with beyond the flatulent cows, we do see that they want to take control of what we eat and where we go and how we get there, creating an almost national internment. You're not going to be allowed to eat hamburgers on airplanes anymore. You're only going to be able to go where the government says you can go, when the government says you can go, at a mode approved by government. We are literally saying to government, here, take away all of the freedoms that we like, to eat what we like, go where we like, work where we like, run a business of our choosing. You're going to map out our lives from cradle to the grave, and it's going to be awesome.
Well, I mean, this is exactly the way that liberals think. I mean, they embrace these nanny state policies. And in fact, this would actually hurt the people that they purport to support the most. Because of course, if you're wealthier in this country, you have options. It's the rest of us that, don't have access to another lawyer to navigate the labyrinth of regulations that would be underneath this bill, that we don't have the option to, the financial options to choose differently for ourselves and have to sort of accept what the government gives us. And so, I think that this is just something where the Democrats are coming off their midterm win. They were charged with, I think, showing something to the progressive base that they're doing something with their newfound power. And I think for the presidential candidates out there, the 2020 candidates, that is, they don't want to seem off the mark with this progressive base. They don't want to run into a Hillary Clinton problem like in 2016 when she wasn't quite progressive enough for all of these Bernie supporters. So it's really easy for them to sort of just like wrap their arms around this pie in the sky proposal because, that's just on their path to getting the nomination.
This is, we were going over in the in the second hour, the history of Eugene Debs and all the stuff they're saying, they were saying 100 years ago is what's being said now, and you're supposed to pretend that it's all brand new. But, when they say, well, young people like it, young people under 30, they like socialism. They love Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. If somebody from the government took their cell phone from them and said, okay, well, you can't have this anymore. We're going to tell you what phone you can have, what it'll come preloaded with. Oh, by the way, there's going to be no more of this iTunes stuff. The government's going to tell you what music is. People would lose their damn minds. If the government came into someone's life and said, you're not going to be able to go out into this universe of music and listen to what sounds good to you. The government is going to convene a body of musical experts. They're going to tell you, what constitutes music, who gets to play it, how long the song is going to be, what key is going to be in. People would freak out. And my point in that is, if you don't want the government picking your music, if you think the government would do a terrible job at picking your music, why would you want them to determine your health care?
Well, I think that the problem with the younger generation of Americans is that for them, socialism isn't the dirty word that it was for our parents and our grandparents' generation. We don't see it. I mean, certainly I do, but I'd say just, this generation in general, they don't see socialism as history's failure. They think of socialism like Scandinavian socialism. So they think socialism means equality. They think it means everybody gets taken care of, which, at face value, those are noble goals, but the means of achieving them are historically
but Norway, we were going over this earlier. Norway is a country of 5 million people that are monochromatic and monoculturistic, if that's even the right way to say it, meaning the people that live in the northern part of Norway are pretty much the same as the people that live in the southern part of Norway, and their immigration system isn't. It's one of the most locked down countries on earth. That is not analogous to 320 million people and growing, where you have a territory as vast as Alaska to Florida.
Well, and that's precisely why one of the many reasons why socialism would fail in the United States is just based on the diversity that we have here, both of people and viewpoints. It wouldn't work. So I think what younger people are looking for is they want assurances that people are going to be taken care of, that people aren't going to be left behind. And so I think to the extent that they embrace these goals, they're sort of embracing them at a very, very superficial level. I don't think that once you sort of explain to them, what it is that's involved in affecting these goals, that they're all that behind it. I think a good example of this is Kamala Harris. The other day when she was talking about Medicare for all, and the little, dirty secret of Medicare for all is that there's no more private insurance. And so, when she finally revealed that, I think a lot of these people who have been responding to polls saying, yes, I want Medicare for all, I want Medicare for all, they're operating under the assumption that private health care would still be available as a choice to them. Once you explain to them that it means stripping them of their private health care, they say, wait a second, this is way too much government for me. So I think that, the left does a really good job with marketing these ideas. They speak in these broad euphemistic terms about wanting to help people, and certainly it all sounds very lofty and very noble to a generation that is civic-minded and is community-oriented. But, it's the devil is in the details, and I think once you explain to people this is actually how it works, is where you really start to see the wheels fall off the wagon.
Isn't it kind of scary that no one in the Democratic field is trying to stake out even a modicum of a moderate position? You've got the fake Native American, you've got Willie Brown's chew toy, you've got you've got a bunch of people who are all basically full of crap, and not one of them is saying it takes Howard Schultz, the closest thing to a moderate Democrat who's not even running as a Democrat, to say some of these things are ambitious and they sound good, like you said, but they're almost impossible to fund.
Well, I think that's a huge problem for the Democrats, and this lurch to the left didn't just start when all of these candidates formally announced. It really started right after the 2016 elections. You saw, different senators like Cory Booker and Kirsten Gillibrand. They ran out to embrace ideas like Medicare for all and free college tuition for everyone pretty soon after Hillary Clinton's loss to Donald Trump. And I think what they were trying to do, like I said before, was shore up that progressive base. But the problem now is that they're all so homogenous in these beliefs that they're virtually indistinguishable from one another. So this is where you're running into what I like to call the intersectionality problem on the Democratic side, where, they are all ideologically the same, which is far left, way outside the mainstream. And so to distinguish themselves in this Democratic primary base and to sort of make their story more compelling, they're trying to lean on the intersectional factors. And so it's causing problems for someone like Elizabeth Warren, who attempted to do so by falsely claiming that she was a Native American, when we all know that that's not true. So I think that some of these attempts to sort of diversify themselves or to shed their previous positions that were more moderate or more conservative or more mainstream, it's causing them to engage in this giant apology tour, which has been really fun to watch.
Well, they think offering more free stuff is the key to victory until you got to pay for it. I got to leave it there. Alex Wilkes, Senior VP of America Rising Corp.com.